everybody. My name is Dean Olson. I am a songwriter, radio host, and producer from Orange County, California. And I'm really just an average guy who loves to make music. But when I get behind a microphone, I become the StrongWriter on the radio, helping songwriters and artists keep musically fit. And the way I love to do that is through faith and hope and encouragement, by taking in the stories and experiences told to me by my wonderful guests, and by learning from the best in the business and passing it along to you. And now, I want to welcome you to another beautiful day for a fantastic show. And a familiar friend is coming to sit a spell. She's returning to share glad tidings for everyone listening. The lovely woman you're seeing on the screen with me is Shantell Ogden. She is a singer-songwriter with over 2 decades of experience working and playing in Nashville. She's contributed her talents as music supervisor, sync agent, and a songwriter on more than 30 projects featured on networks such as Lifetime, CW, and Great American Family. And today, I'm excited to tell you that Chantel has written and executive produced a very wonderful Christmas/holiday movie called City Mistletoe, featuring original music she wrote alongside some of Nashville's hit songwriters. That's enough of the intro. It's going on way too long because I want to get to talking with her. It is with great joy that I welcome back to the program the incredible Shantell Ogden.
Hey, hi, Dean.
Hi there.
How you been?
Well, I was just telling you off there that you're my good luck charm. You were my very first guest a long time ago, probably when you started doing these projects where you were starting to put all your stuff into, film and, submitting them to put them in movies, licensing and all that stuff, all the technical things that songwriters that are trying to make a good name and a good living in Nashville. So congratulations on doing a movie. That's
Thank you.
I'll confess I didn't see that coming. It was you involved in a genre that many couples and families are quite fond of. The Christmas or made-for-television holiday movie. Everybody knows that there are just dozens and dozens and hundreds of them actually, and yours is called City Mistletoe. So I'm going to get out of the way. Maybe you could tell me just a little bit about start to finish. Why did you decide to do this kind of thing? Get yourself involved in a movie and making music for it and all that stuff.
So I think in the back of my mind, since I've been working with other movie producers and directors and everything on their films since 2011, I've been doing that. And it always in the back of my mind, I thought, I think I might be able to write one of these scripts, because a lot of the films I was working on, they were family-friendly films. Many of them were Christmas films as well. And I always have loved Christmas music. And so when I had some changes in my life in the summer of last year, so that was 2024, I thought, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to start working on a script. And I wanted to write a story that was familiar to me. And so I wrote this screenplay about a singer-songwriter in Nashville, and she's struggling to hold on to her dreams. And there's some threats to that dream. And I felt like I could tell an authentic story about someone chasing their dreams, because that's what I've been lucky enough to do in the last 20 years.
Mona and I have seen a lot of these things, as a lot of other couples and families. After a while, you think there's a formula to them all. There's at least the rom-com thing that they do, chasing your dreams, and then there's some faith-based, but they're far and few between. And I like that yours has a little bit of mix of everything. You got the little love triangle going in there. You have the songwriter chasing her dreams and struggling with it and questioning herself. And I've seen a few of these things, music related, and they always seem to take place in Tennessee, Memphis or Nashville or something like that.
Yeah.
But somehow this is more personal to me. Mona and I would watch this thing and we say, oh my gosh, I wonder if that happened to her. I wonder if this is Chantel being a little autobiographical on some of this stuff. Because, here's the question I have. It says written by Shantell Ogden. How much of that is you that you're writing? Are you writing the entire story, and then somebody comes in and supervises the script to make it into a movie?
I wrote it. I mean, I wrote the script. I downloaded a Google template. And learned how to format a script. So I wrote the script. So it's me writing. And I mean, I did infuse a lot of myself into the songwriter character, because I wanted those feelings to be real. The struggle she has, the industry that she's in is very hard. The music industry is very hard.
It's very competitive. You've told me.
Very competitive, yeah. And I wanted the audience to sort of see behind this curtain, if you will, a little bit of what the music industry is really like and why it's so hard. Why are some of the economics the way they are, and so that's the choices I made were really intentional. Now, some of the characters are very fictionalized. It's not, I don't think any character can be 100% another person unless it is an autobiography.
Yeah.
I would say mine is sort of loosely based on my experiences, and the lead character has probably more in common with me than the other characters in that way.
We kind of got that feeling, but we can't assume everything, because
sure,
you're trying to make a very interesting character, and I think you bring the realism to it with your own experience, your personality, whatever you wanted to convey into that character. And and Sarah, who plays the lead, Chloe, she is very good at the character. I mean, we were rooting for her at the end there, because I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's a good ending, as they usually do in these movies. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. When you were saying something about the economics and all that, you've probably seen a lot of changes in the music industry since you've come to Nashville. I mean, when you started and what you see today, what might those changes be?
Well, when I first got to Nashville in 2005, I actually worked in the music industry at a radio syndication and marketing company. And so we were doing a lot of marketing for big labels. And I think, back then there were more big labels. So one thing that we've seen is a lot of consolidation, sort of the rise of the independent artist. Nashville, when I got there in 2005, was pretty resistant to the whole streaming music thing.
Right.
They were the last on the bandwagon to sort of accept that that's digitally consuming music was how it was going to be. I think in 2005, they were still thinking CDs and albums, and they weren't really thinking singles yet. And I think that right now it's exactly what it talks about in the movie. I mean, you really have to have a single that goes all the way to the top of the charts to make any kind of money as a songwriter.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can do other things like getting your songs in film and TV, but the economics of it, it's just that pie has shrunk. When I moved to Nashville, there were probably, I was told, someone said there were about 800 songwriters that had publishing deals. So they're getting paid to write songs. Now there's probably 200. It's just,
that's a lot, but it shrunk a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, it's shrunk a lot. And I think too, they talk about this, this whole middle class, sort of the working songwriters that were getting cuts on albums, but not necessarily singles, were still making a living. Because you could make a living if you had a song on a record. That's and right. The record sold 1 million copies, but now you can't. You have to have a single. So I think those are a lot of the changes, that I've seen in Nashville in the music industry.
Is it because a lot of people aren't getting physical media? They're getting, they're doing a lot more Spotify or streaming downloads and things like that.
They're downloading music. They're, it's just different. And one thing that has grown a lot too is the touring part of music. So music is becoming more of a live experience. And I think, artists used to play 50 dates a year. Now they're playing 150 dates a year because they make money on performances, on merchandising, on all the things that happen in a live setting. So that's another thing that's changed.
I guess if you're an artist, you got to make sure that you're balancing what what you want to do, whether you want to hustle or whether this is going to be a burden for you. Oh no, now I have more work to do by getting out there, because I used to love creating the music and making a nice piece of art, a nice music record, and just go out and tour it for maybe just a limited number of dates. And now it's like you're on the road more often than you thought. So that's probably a decision a lot of people had to make, whether it was worth it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think as creative people, the people who listen to your show who are songwriters and creative people, we all have to make the choices, right? You have to decide how you're going to do it, what you want out of it, how you're going to make it, how you're going to make ends meet, right? So those are all things that I think we all have to figure out in our own ways.
In the movie, one of the premises is a music publishing house that is struggling, probably because of dwindling sales or whatever that point was in the movie. And how close is that to real life? Have you seen this happen?
Very, very much real life. I mean, it's as authentic as you get.
Wow. Can you explain a little bit about that? What have you seen personally?
Well, just publishers, it's very hard to make a business, work in Nashville because of the economics of the industry. And, publishing companies, they'll start up and they might last 2 or 3 years, and then they're out of business because they've invested into writers, and they have this overhead of running a business, of paying people to run the business, but they haven't made the money back, right? They haven't made back what they've spent. And so a lot of publishers go out of business. It happens all the time. Yeah.
That's just how it is, but you have to deal with that. Music Row is one of these places that I only recently saw. I mean, it's been there for ages, right? So has that changed over the time, like since 2005? Because we were talking about how all the companies gobbling up and everything. Because it seems like there weren't as many as I was thinking there were going to be when I went down there. So definitely that's changed as well, just because of consolidation. And I think, Music Row used to be a business center, even though it was a lot of converted houses. Right.
Now people are starting to live there, and they've torn down things and built high rises. And now Music Row is becoming like a place to live and not just go for music. So, I think a lot of changes just in music in general in Nashville, and hopefully in the film we kind of capture the realities of the music industry and also the positive aspects of it as well. Some of the characters, they kind of root for each other, and that is also part of Nashville.
Yeah. We enjoyed this a lot, probably for different reasons. I look at it and I go, well, this is just a wonderful peek into a songwriter, focusing on the character, and then just, how things are done in Nashville today, as opposed to maybe how it used to be. There was a character that I enjoyed. The character's name was Tom, played by this guy named Dave.
Yep.
That sure looked like a writing session to me, like a typical one. If, say you're you go down to a physical building and go do this,
Yeah.
Is that character based on several different people, or is it one person in particular?
Well, so I think, I would say he's kind of a brand, right? So there's this, he plays sort of the wise, experienced hit songwriter. And there's versions of that all over town, right? I mean, the idea here is that he's had a lot of hits, and he's still writing because he loves it. But he's in the movie, he's kind of in this twilight years of his career, and he's in the movie to kind of help and support a newer songwriter that's coming up. And also, he plays a role of sort of helping move the story from a kind of an industry. He's like a bit of a wise truth teller about the music industry. Yeah. And that character is actually played by a real songwriter named Dave Lanahan. And when I was thinking about who would be a good fit for that character, I thought there's a lot of different people who could have played that role, but I thought Dave would be a really good fit. And Dave has a podcast called Songwriter Connection, and he interviews songwriters, and he'd be a good person to have on your show as well. But he's a really interesting person because he spent years and years in radio, and so he's very comfortable sort of in dialogue, and he actually had done a little bit of acting, and so and he was kind of playing himself. So he jokes that it's like I'm playing myself, but with more hits, you know. So he got to play himself pretty much, you know. He got to play a songwriter, and he is a songwriter. And yeah, that is how a Nashville songwriting session goes. Like, that is how writing a song looks and feels, and kind of how it comes about.
I kind of got that vibe about him in the scene where they're collaborating. The character's coming to him to write a song. She's got her idea in mind, and she's pitching it to him, and he's very receptive and encouraging. Is that too easy? I mean, is that how it usually goes, or is there a little constructive criticism when they, a little give and take, maybe? Yeah,
sometimes. I mean, you have to. So everything in a screenplay, you have to make choices, right? Like, you have to decide how much of this is critical to the story. How much do I need to show of this particular thing? And with the songwriting scene, again, very, very simple decision. It was like, well, I want to kind of show how it works, but I don't need to show everything. Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, you might have a 3 or 4 hour movie.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah. And songwriting sessions usually are 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours. So yeah, there's way more back and forth. There's way more, like, sometimes it is like that, though. Sometimes you go in with the title idea like she does in the movie, and your co-writer's like, yeah, I love that. Let's do it, And sometimes they're like, what else we got? What else do you? Well, I've got this idea, or you've got that idea. So it's a little bit more collaborative like that.
Yeah, in real life, it's probably great, when they say, "Hey, great, let's go with that," because there's some energy there, and then it gets your juices flowing, and you can really do something with it.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that's kind of the exception, rather than the rule. But like, I've had a few sessions over the years where it's like, I've got this great title, let's do this, or or maybe you come up with a great title when you're just talking. It's like, that's the title.
Well, talking about moving things along, let me do that. The character, I'll mention this Chloe all the time because that's sort of like, she's the protagonist. She's the hero of the story. Mona and I were noticing, she had a question about the work that Chloe does, singing for people in hospitals, cheering them up, things like that.
Yeah.
Is that a thing you see around town, or is that something you did yourself? Can you explain what, because you might see that a lot, right?
Yeah. So there's organizations that do that. That they actually go into hospitals and play for people. I mean, I've done it before, just playing for people that I knew that were in a rest home, or I've gone and done some stuff at places like that before. But again, that was just showing how music can help connect people, and the fact that she's doing that, kind of shows that she knows the power of music to kind of lift spirits and connect.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Talking about casting, one thing I had to ask you about, when I saw James Robert Webb show up in this thing, I go like, wow, this is a name I've heard before, because you've tagged him in many things that you've done on social media, and it seems like you've known this guy for a little bit. And I didn't realize he dressed so colorfully in real life. Why'd you choose this guy in particular? Was it a fun thing, or did?
James and I talked about this. Like, there's a real kind of circular feeling to this. So when James first started coming to Nashville more than a decade ago, he recorded, before he was really writing a lot of his own songs, he recorded a couple of my songs that I had written with Markham and Bill. Markham and I wrote a Christmas song that he put on one of his early albums. And so James has always been kind to me as an artist. We had written this song back then, I mean, it was over a decade ago, this song Fighting for a Dream.
Oh, yeah.
And, that song is kind of the overall theme of the movie. And so when I was thinking about who might be a good fit for he plays sort of himself, but in the film world, he's the mega, like he's the George Strait of the movie. And I just said, remember that song Fighting for a Dream that we wrote so many years ago? I said, that really is the song that, even though it's not a Christmas song, that's the song that this artist needs to record, because it's such a strong message, right?
Well, you know how my show is. That's what I'm all about, fighting for your dreams and keeping your spirits up. And that was a good song. Yeah, that was sort of the pinnacle there, and that's sort of what the character's really trying to get a song recorded by some big mega star, like you're saying, and that's like that's the brass ring almost, for that moment,
Yeah.
Almost forgot about talking about the Christmas music or the music from that film. Not only Fighting for a Dream, but the Holiday in Your Heart was a big part of the movie, because it was done a few times, and it was part of the little girl, the daughter in the story. She gets to sing with it. And I said, "Hey, that's that song you released a couple of years back." And I go, "That's neat." I was going, "Oh, now Mona can hear this." I always liked that song. I thought it was great, and I still hum it in my head because it's got a nice hook into it.
Yeah.
December 25th is circled all year long. It's more than decorating trees and decking halls. We step a little lighter, smile a little brighter. You can't hide what's inside when you have a little holiday in your heart. It'll give the season a good head start. Who cares if there's a chill in the air? There's warm feelings everywhere. Mix and mingle, singing under Christmas stars. Jingle, jingle, have a little holiday in your heart. It's when strangers say hello to break the ice, and we're open to the mistletoe's advice. That's nice. There's way more giving and even more kissing. Everybody knows that's how it goes when you have a little holiday in your heart. It'll give the season a good head start. Who cares if there's a chill in the air? There's warm feelings everywhere. Mix and mingle, singing under Christmas stars. Jingle, jingle, have a little holiday in your heart. Happy holidays. Here's to many more. From my heart to yours. When you have a little holiday in your heart, it'll give the season a good head start. Who cares if there's a chill in the air? There's warm feelings everywhere. Mix and mingle, singing under Christmas stars. Jingle, jingle, have a little holiday in your heart. Ooh. Jingle, jingle, have a little holiday in your heart.
I never associated you with any Christmas songs until maybe like 10 years ago. You covered Jingle Bell Rock, and then all of a sudden I'm hearing more and more little Christmas ditties. That's nice. Because
I mean, and I've had so this is the difference sort of between my film and TV songs and my artist songs. I haven't really released much Christmas music as an artist.
Yeah.
But
you don't have an album of Christmas songs. That's
no,
for sure.
but as a songwriter, I've worked on a lot of songs that have ended up in films. So another example of that in the movie is Countdown to Christmas.
Uh-huh.
That song has been in, this is the third Christmas film that it's been in.
Oh, wow.
But I'm not performing it, right? It's another artist. And that's another piece of the movie, is even though there's a lot of original music in it, I didn't want my voice to be the only singer of the songs.
Uh-huh.
And so I sing exactly one song in the movie, and that's the title track.
The opener, yeah.
Yeah, that's the song that it opens and closes with. So that's the only song in the movie that's me singing. Everything else is co-written by me, but not performed by me. Yeah. And that's, again, very intentional, because I wanted to show the diversity, and I wanted to celebrate all the great writers that I work with.
Yeah.
And there's so many.
What's Santa Claus without a sleigh or his signature ho ho ho? What's December without holiday music jingling on the radio? What's Christmas Eve without you and me holding each other close? It wouldn't be the same in any other place than under Music City Mistletoe. Mistletoe, ho, 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 gives us a reason to meet up in the kissing zone. 'Tis the season, kiss me once or twice and keep on repeating. Don't you let me go, no, no, no. What's Opryland without the lights and a country music Christmas show? Or a carriage ride late at night, with or without the snow? Singing Silent Night in the neon lights, holding each other close. It wouldn't be the same in any other place than under Music City Mistletoe. Mistletoe, ho, 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 gives us a reason to meet up in the kissing zone. 'Tis the season, kiss me once or twice and keep on repeating. Don't you let me go, no, no, no. Mistletoe, ho, 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 gives us a reason to meet up in the kissing zone. 'Tis the season, kiss me once or twice and keep on repeating. So come on, baby, let's go. It wouldn't be the same any other place than under Music City Mistletoe. It wouldn't be the same any other place than under Music City Mistletoe. Mistletoe.
I've told Mona, I've explained to her that most of the time it's you collaborating with at least one person, and it's usually not you by yourself. So, a lot of times it's you and Bill DeLuigi on a track that are responsible for it, or two other people. So you have a trio going, and I think that's what you're most comfortable with. You get the most mileage out of that, I think, because
I think it's just a culture there, right? So before I got to Nashville, the first 100 songs I wrote were by myself, and the first albums I did when I got to Nashville were songs that I had written by myself. But there's such a co-writing culture, and the other piece of it is, not only are two heads usually better than one, but it also doubles your chances of something happening with the song, because I have different contacts than somebody like Corey Lee Barker does, right? And so if I write a song with Corey, he's going to pitch it to certain people, and I'm going to pitch it to certain people. And so now we've just doubled our chances of getting the song in a movie or getting the song recorded by another artist. So that's kind of also part of the thinking behind why you would co-write.
Yeah. And your material is usually not based on complex chord changes or any, even though there is some of that, but it's mostly the storytelling and the songwriting that I hear come from you. And that's an important thing. So what are some key elements that might resonate with people, do you think? Is there sort of a habit that you go with, or is just, you go with the flow every time you make one?
Yeah, so I think it depends on, again, who you're working with or how you're working. You know, some writers that I work with, they're better at melody, so I kind of let them, you know, come up with melody ideas. Sometimes it's like they'll start something and I'll go, well, why don't we go to this or that, or why don't we try this or that? You know, it just kind of depends on who you're working with, but I think the whole idea is that you just come with sort of a head and a heart to collaborate, yeah. and then you see what happens from there.
There's a very special character that we liked, Miss Dottie, based on a real person. I please take your time and tell me the story about this, because I'd love to know. This is based on a real life person.
Yeah. So Dottie, her name's Dot Etheridge. She's passed away now, but she was, I met her through another friend when I first got to Nashville. Mm-hmm. I had a different dog. I don't have the dogs I have now. I had a different dog named Jessie. And Jessie and I would walk around the neighborhood, and I met this sweet old lady called Onita. Well, Onita had this friend Dot, and so when I was at Onita's house one day, Dot was there, and I met Dot. Well, when Onita passed, Dot and I became better friends, and I used to take Jessie over to her house, and Jessie would sleep and visit with Dot while I would go do errands. And you know, we were just friends. And then she ended up going to a rest home in her later years, and we would go to the rest home and see her there. And, you know, she was always someone who was rooting for me. You know, she was just rooting for me to have good things happen in my life. And when I thought about, you know, everybody has those people in their lives,
right?
That pull for you and that cheer for you, and that's really what she is in this movie, and that's what she was. That's the person she was for me too, you know. And actually, in one of the scenes where it's the little girl and her dad, and they're saying a prayer together. Uh-huh. The audience looks on the left-hand side of the screen. There's a light-up ceramic Christmas tree. That was Dot's Christmas tree. That was her Christmas tree that her niece gave me when she passed. And I put that in the movie, you know, very intentionally, because I wanted to honor her spirit in the movie. And she was always outside, which is why we put the character in the movie outside on the porch. She was always outside. She loved being outside. And so, yeah, I mean, that was, again, just somebody that mattered a lot to me, and I wanted to sort of honor them, you know?
Yeah. Dot is no longer with us?
No, she's since passed. Yeah, she's been gone a few years, but, you know, I think she's just she's one of those people that really she left her handprint in my life, you know?
Yeah.
And,
that must have touched you when you're recreating that, you know?
Yeah, it did, you know, and I think one thing I kept thinking about was the woman who plays Dot in the movie. Her name's Lucy Carroll. Mm-hmm. Dot would have said, "Oh, she's so pretty. She's just so pretty." She would have thought she was really a pretty, you know, and Dot used to say things like, you know, "I'll be here next week, you know, God willing, and the creek don't rise."
Yeah.
So that is what made that character real, you know, and that's what made Dottie who she was.
That the lady Onita, that sounds familiar to me. Is that one over in Alpharetta down in Georgia? Who was
No, she was someone I met in Nashville, but
Oh, okay.
one of
Sorry.
one of the very first songs, actually I think it was the first song that I wrote with Bill that was like a real song, is called What Matters the Most.
Okay.
And that song was about Miss Onita, and it says there's a yard sale today, everything must go.
Yeah.
Miss Anita's moving down to her daughters down the road. But it was Onita, but we just called her Miss Anita is moving to her daughters down the road. But that was
names
about
changed
her.
to protect the innocent.
Yeah. That was about her.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, yeah, I was close, but maybe not. I was over the target, but I didn't hit it. But that sounded so familiar when I said Onita. I don't hear that many names Onita. So
No, just in very, very, very special Southern women,
Yes.
that have been a part of my journey.
yeah, they're not a dime a dozen. Each one you meet is very special in their own way. So.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, there was a location you were at, the East Side Music, so that was kind of cool. These are all real places that you turn into sets.
They
almost,
are. Yeah, they are real places, and I think that's something that is fun. Like the Commodore Grill
Oh, yes.
I mean, they have music there every single night of the week. They have
the Commodore
live
you're talking
music
about?
there. Yeah. And it's one of those places that's so unique because you can hear hit songwriters there, but you can hear songwriters that just moved to Nashville. That was one of the first places I played.
You've haunted there many times, I've noticed.
Yeah, and it's a place a lot of people play, really frequently. So I'm really glad that that's part of the movie because, that's a place that people can actually go see, when they get to town. And I hope people do,
Well, there's your Easter egg. There's a Commodore scene in there, and you're in it. So Mona's going, there she is. There's her cameo.
Yeah, very, very blurry in the background was my request to the director.
You want to be way back there.
Yeah,
So
I want to be in the background, and even when I say my one short line, I'm just kind of a fuzzy presence. Like, it's coming from that person, but you don't really see me, which is exactly what I wanted.
Having seen you in a couple of songwriter rounds, that seems to be that's a staple of these clubs, right? Well, they'll have these nights where there's usually about 3 or 4 people going around the room, taking turns.
It's the Nashville way, right? It's a songwriter round. They'll have multiple rounds. So it's usually like an hour. There'll be 4 songwriters, 3 or 4 songwriters. They'll do, they'll go around and around and around, each taking a turn. And then at the end of an hour, another 4 songwriters get up. And that's, it's amazing how many incredible songwriters and artists that you can hear.
Well, hopefully for your trouble coming in for the night, they give you a couple of quarters or, something, some form of payment. So
they give discount codes to get a meal there, and the food's actually pretty good. So they do that. But, a lot of places in Nashville, you play for free just because you want to play, just because you want to share your music.
That's one of the things I learned early on because, there are a lot of people that they have stars in their eyes and they think they can make it and, make a good living out of this. And it's not always the case, but you kind of have to have your head screwed on straight and a good perspective to succeed in your own time,
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I'm glad that, I'm glad we got to see you in that little part. That's a lot of fun. But making a movie, that's a big project. I know you were a supervisor. Remember that Shoelaces for Christmas? It seems like it was only a couple of years ago. I looked it up and it was 2017 or something like that. It was can you believe it was that long ago? Because I thought I said, oh, well, that had to have been like 2021 or something. No, time really flies, I think.
Time flies. Yes.
Must be like birthing a baby or hatching an egg. You went through a lot of pains and love to just make this thing come to life.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people did, right? Like, you don't make a movie alone.
True.
Just don't. There's just so many people. I mean, all the production, the crew, everybody that made it happen behind the scenes. And then you've got all your actors who are on screen. So there's a lot that goes into it, and every single person has their stamp on this thing. I wrote it, and I was the person who sort of orchestrated it and worked with the investors on it to get what we needed to make it, so everybody also got a paycheck, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't believe in just taking advantage of people, but that it's a journey, and it's very collaborative. Filmmaking is very collaborative, and you really have to think through every little detail, right down to, okay, what hairstyle did Sarah have on day one? Mm-hmm. We're shooting her on a different day, but she's got to be wearing the same clothes, and we got to make sure that her hair's the same.
Yeah.
There's just so many little details that go in behind the scenes, and all the set decorating and all that is just, there's a lot that goes into it.
But you made sure you were working or hired or worked with people who, knew how to direct and how to block the shots. So it looks like a real movie and not just something that you threw together.
Yeah, it's definitely not a student film. And the evidence of that is that, we got distribution, and I was able to get a distribution deal, and only about 3% of independent films get distributed and get anywhere that people can see it. So grateful that we created something that people can see, and it's available to them to see on several different platforms, including Amazon and Apple TV, and it will be coming later this month on Up Faith and Family streaming. So it'll be in a lot of places that people can watch it.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Not that means a thing, but it's nice to know that it's going to get out to more people this way, because, that's probably a good investment in making sure that this thing is distributed to a wider audience than maybe just, because.
Well, and also overseas, right? Like I've had people message me from the UK because it's streaming in the UK.
Oh, is it? Okay.
No, it's streaming in Australia. It's streaming in Canada. And, those countries will continue to grow, right? We're distributing internationally. So, I think it's just like songs in the way that, like, if you write a song, you want people to hear it. Mm-hmm. If you make a movie, you want people to watch it. You want people to enjoy it. So that's the whole reason that you, at least for me, like, you want to share it. You want people to enjoy it. You want it to lift their hearts. You want them to feel good when they walk out of the theater, or they change the channel, or they shut down their app.
We were so happy for it because we go, this looks like a real movie. This is like everything else we see, except it looks so much more realistic when it comes to what goes on in Nashville, which is something. Those are again those were very strategic, very deliberate choices, because I worked with some people. At one point, I was talking to some folks in Hollywood about it, and they were saying, well, you need to take the faith out, because it's not going to have a mainstream audience appeal, and you need to take the prayers out, and you need to we need to end this with like a big concert to save the town, and I'm like, well, but we're not saving a town. Nobody's moving. Nobody's turning into Santa Claus. Like, there are certain things that I just didn't. I said, we're not saving a town. We're trying to save a songwriter's dream, and we're trying to save the company that she works for. And so it makes sense to me that it would end with a very intimate performance that's by an artist. And artists do, big artists will do those little drop-ins at parties in Nashville. I've been sitting someplace and it's like, okay, in walks so-and-so, because they live there. So I wanted to make it real. I wanted to make it as real as possible, and not kind of go down the road of like corny or hokey or forced. And the faith thing for me, look, I mean, even if you don't believe in God, you got to believe in something to be a songwriter. Yeah.
And you've got to have faith in something. And I think for a lot of people, it's It's looking to something that's bigger than yourself. And I think that's what the characters, Chloe, the main songwriter character, she's really struggling with, does she have faith enough in herself as a songwriter to keep going? And that's something all of us face that are chasing dreams.
I'm glad you said that, because that's something that sort of, you'll notice it. It's sort of fleeting, but it's not, you don't gloss over it. You attack it head on, that they're saying prayers because they were, I won't tell you what they were praying about. It might give away a little bit of the plot, but with other movies, they'll push a different agenda. Why not push this just a little bit? You know, if it's something that is meaningful to you in the story, you should put it in. You almost did what Charlie Brown Christmas did, where they wanted him to take that out, you know, way back in 1965.
Well, and those are choices, right? Like and look, I mean, all of us have to make creative choices about how we show up, about what we write, about what songs we put into the world. And for me, that is an important part of me as a person, but also of this character's authentic journey. And, you know, I think, you know, if people aren't interested in it, then they'll watch something else. But I think there has to be, you know, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned about being a songwriter is the more personal you write, the more universal it becomes. Mm-hmm. And it's with this character, the more authentic I pushed her to be, the more real she becomes. And, you know, what's real for some people is not real for others. But I will stand by my statement that if you are a songwriter or if you're pursuing any kind of creative dream, you're going to have faith in something. It might be yourself, it might be the universe, it might be your gift, but you got to have enough faith because you're going to face rejection all the time. One of the producers I worked with said, you know, I work in the music industry. I eat rejection for breakfast every day. Like, that's what it is. But you have to find a way through that. And you have to make peace with it. And you have to keep going. I think one of the reasons that I've had any kind of a career in Nashville is I've just kept going.
Yeah, wonderful. Oh, gosh, that's beautiful. I almost don't want to add anything to the end of that because it was said so well by you. But, you know, there is a thing that the Chloe character struggles. Gets to a point where there's almost a crossroads where she says, you know, I'm tired of this. I hear this happen all the time. That's part of what I base my show on, you know, is that when the times get really bad, maybe it's time to refocus or take a breath because, you know, the sun will come up tomorrow and you might change your mind and everything's okay again. So, you know, you can't make these decisions lightly.
Yeah.
But that's part of the journey. You know, it's not everybody is up all the time. You know?
That's right. That's right. Well, it's not life, right? Like,
right.
None of us, it doesn't even matter if you're creative or not. Not every day is a 5-star day for any person on the planet. If it is a 5-star day for every person on the planet, you know, they're over medicated, right? Like,
that's true.
It's just not life. It's not real. And what's always been important to me as an artist, as a person, as a screenwriter, any of it is you need to be authentic and you need to say, I mean, not to go around and offend people, but you need to show up as who you are. And I think that people are afraid of being who they are. And we shouldn't be, because there's only one Dean and there's only one Chantel and there's only one Mona and there's only one all of us. And I think we're created to be our unique selves and find comfort in that journey of being ourselves. I will share this because I don't know if you saw this on social media, but I think we all question, like, is this the right journey? Am I on the right path, and all those questions. We all have those questions. Well, the day before we were having our premiere for the movie in Nashville, because we had a theater premiere, and Sarah came down, and most of the actors were there, and a lot of the crew, and of course the production company was there. Everybody was there. And anyway, the day before, I had pulled up, for a totally different reason, I had pulled out an old scrapbook that my mom had made. And I was looking through it, and I had this really amazing moment. And the moment was that I was looking through this scrapbook, and I flipped over the page, and I found this picture. My very first Christmas, and I'm with my grandpa and grandma, and I'm a baby, and in the middle, I'm reaching for the mistletoe. And I just think, like, to me, that was a sign that this was a movie that was meant to be. Like, this is how, this was something I was supposed to do in my life. Because as a baby, I was reaching for that mistletoe, and I finally got it in this movie. We finally got Music City Mistletoe. And I just feel like it was such a confirmation that, like, this is a full circle moment, right? This is something that I was supposed to do. And so I'm really so grateful that I was able to do it, and that it's out there in the world, and people are watching it.
Yeah. It was very cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, you when the premiere happened, or at least one of these photos that you were sharing, there's your beautiful mom and dad out there with you. And did they come out to Tennessee to do this?
They did.
Yeah.
And
is that where that was? Yeah.
Yeah, and mom had fairly recent hip surgery, and my parents are good people, and it was so fun to celebrate the movie with them. And I'll tell you this, it's kind of funny. My dad doesn't really like Hallmarky kind of Christmas movies, because he said, they're so predictable, and they're just so corny, and
sounds
whatever.
like my kind of guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And no, Thelma, no barking.
Thank you, Thelma.
Yeah, no barking. Nope.
So you're
my dad is not a fan of Christmas movies, because he feels like they're really predictable, and they're really, they're kind of just like corny. And after the movie, he said, I really liked that movie. He said that was a good movie, and he said it wasn't corny, and he said it was a good movie. He said it had a happy ending, but he said it was a good movie, and he said it wasn't so predictable about what was going to happen and how it ended.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he liked it, of course, but I think this is the kind of movie that people can watch, and maybe they can be a little bit surprised, His review
was a lot like mine when I was telling Mona that it feels like some of the same elements that you would see in one of those Hallmarky movies, but you didn't take it to the corny level, like saying with your dad, because there was a few things where I go, oh, okay, well, there's not a lot of betrayal, mistrust, or misunderstandings. There's just normal struggles that somebody would go through, with their dreams, or, like maybe she's trying to find love with this man. It's just not the same. So it's nice that you made this, because I think why make a movie like this if it's going to be just like all the other ones? You did a nice job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, and I do think that Rachel, who plays Lydia, who's kind of she is the one that's kind of not wanting it to work, and she does a lot of manipulation behind the scenes to make sure that it's not always as easy as it seems. And there's always something like that. It's either a person or a situation that doesn't make it quite so easy.
Yeah, Mona was saying that that woman, boy, she just doesn't give up. And I said at the end, I say right to the end, she's still not being she's still not being a nice person for some reason. I thought, she's going to come to her senses, you know.
Well, she gets a little bit of redemption in the end, just like a little kernel of redemption. But, you know, that was a challenging character for me to write because you want to you just have to think about, like, how are all the ways that someone could mess with this situation, right? And it's like, okay, she'd first kind of be a little standoffish, then she'd pretend to be your friend, then she'd it just kind of went through a lot of the things that happens.
It's just like real life in some ways.
Yeah,
right? There's somebody out there.
Yeah, that's right. There's always people that are manipulative that will kind of pull the strings. And that's kind of what that character is there for, to do that.
I think God sets up the universe too. He puts these people in your life for a reason. So, you know, to have a challenge, and it's how you deal with it in the end.
That's right.
Real quickly, we're almost done here. So, you had we were curious about this Shari character. Christopher Callan was a very nice addition to that. She seemed like the sage, the one that's been around the block. What kind of can you describe that role that she's playing? What is she exactly when she's in this movie? What is she doing? Yeah,
so she's the head of the publishing office, and we joked about her character that she's probably going to die one day pitching a song at the desk, right? Trying to get another song cut. But I kind of thought about sort of almost like a Dolly Parton-esque type character. I wanted her really kind of spicy and really good at the business side, which she is, but also very Southern and fun and funny. And Christopher is a tremendous actress. She's out in California. She came in for the shoot, and she was on a soap opera for 20 years. And so she's been on a lot of different stuff, but you know, she just kind of brings this fun kind of element to the movie. And her character was fun for me to write because she is a cheerleader in a different way for her songwriters, right? She wants to get songs recorded. She wants to have a big cut. She wants to see, some money coming into that publishing company. And, maybe a little bit reminiscent of the old days too,
Yeah. And you've seen this kind of person in your travels?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Sort of the legacy figure of
another kind of, like this is one, this year we're going to have a big hit and this one's going to go. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people like that who are around that pitch songs and root for songwriters and that kind of thing.
Yeah. One little thing, when you're watching this movie, I want you to pay attention because there'll be the girl Chloe and her best friend, her roommate, they're making cookies at the table. And what is going on in the background? I want you to tell me what's going on because it's very special.
Yeah. So again, like they call them Easter eggs in filmmaking, like putting personal things in scenes. And my mom is a very talented card maker. And so in the background of that scene on the cabinet, you can see Christmas cards that my mom made. And there's also a picture of my parents on their wedding day. And there's an old spur for my grandpa. And there's like a couple of old Bibles from the family. And there's a box that my other grandfather carved. So there's a lot of things in the background of that scene that are just personal things from my family. And that again, like it's just a way to kind of honor, and recognize the people that have supported me and cheered for me my whole life, and family is really important to me. So, it's just a fun little thing that we could do. And they're sitting in my house. That is my house. The songwriter's house is my house, and they're sitting at a kitchen table that's that was my grandma Jensen's, my mom's mom. had that table and chairs, and they're sitting there making cookies, and that when they're in the living room, with the Christmas tree, they're sitting on the floor wrapping presents, and in the background is a big turnstile. That was my aunt's. That was my Aunt Lois's turnstile. And so anyway, but yeah, you see my house, because that's Chloe's house in the movie, and lots of other locations that people donated, and the town of Hohenwald was the place where we shot the the Christmas gazebo and the trolley and all of that was in this wonderful little town about an hour south of Nashville called Hohenwald. They did all that for us because they really wanted to have their town shown off in a movie.
That's great.
So yeah, it's really amazing. Lots of people.
That's so great that you get to do this now. That thing was being shot at your house. I hope you didn't have to clean up afterwards. You had some help.
Yeah, they're really good about, the crew's really good about sort of, putting things back to how they were,
No more. You better clean up. No more coming over if you don't do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice that you said that, write the things that you believe in, and you made this movie. I'm going to assume that you're very satisfied with the outcome of how it came out and everything. So
yeah, I think it turned out really well, and I'm really grateful and proud of the team and the actors that took part in it, and made it what it is. And I just hope people bring it into their hearts and homes this Christmas, this holiday season.
I will. I mean, I'm glad that I bought the HD version of the movie, because I'm going to go back and look at the little Easter eggs. I want to see if I can see them very clearly in that background there.
Yeah.
So that's our next task. We're going to go and look at that again. But we'll probably get back into it. We just have to start from the beginning, because this was such a nice movie. Great songs in the movie, because it's a little personal, because I know you and I know your material, and you worked so hard, and you deserve everything that's been, all the blessings that have been bestowed on you. I hope that it just keeps going for you. Oops, we got a visitor.
Ask her if she's going to put the songs on CD.
Are you going to put the songs on the CD?
Oh, so the songs are available on the website, Music City Mistletoe. So there's a digital version of it. We don't have plans right now to make a physical version of it.
Okay.
But we'll certainly let people know if there's enough demand. We'll absolutely make a physical version, but there is a digital version, and it's only available on the website because I wanted to be able to share in the sales with the artists and the songwriters directly as much as possible. And a lot of times when you put it out on all these streaming services or whatever, the platforms take a lot of that revenue before it ever gets to the artist. So that's why I put it on the film's website.
Chantel told me lots of secrets. We're going to have to watch the movie all over again now. So I'll have to with different eyes and ears. But what did you come in to say?
Just that when I heard, it came to my mind, did she have a CD? Because I'm allowed one Christmas CD a year.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
okay.
She imposed that on herself. Yeah, she can have as many things as she wants.
Because I would buy several a year.
Oh, there you go. Well, I will say that the song Music City Mistletoe has been playing in some retail stores this year as well, which has been kind of fun. So
let's go find out where those stores are.
Yeah, if you hear it in any of the
national
stores,
network or whatever.
Let me know. I'd like to go stock and see if I can hear the song in the store. So
now, which one is that? Music City Mistletoe, is that the one that's playing at the end credits, or is that?
It's the beginning and end credits.
Same song as playing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of start out the movie with that and kind of end it with that as well.
Okay. Glad she contributed. I thought she maybe. You were talking about people who believe in you and cheer you on, like Miss Dot, for instance. It doesn't always have to be your family, but your mom and dad have been there from the start, supportive of you, even when you left town and went to Georgia or to Nashville, all these places, they have
been. Yeah, they have been. And I think, I think as a parent, it's hard to watch watch your kids at any age struggle, and they've seen all the struggles. And I think there's been times that it's been really hard for them to watch me struggle and for me to struggle. But, I think we all really enjoyed the moment of watching the movie together. And that was a really nice, I feel like that's a really nice, because they're part of that story too. So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate that you gave me some nice, inspiring advice, and then I made sure that I kept on point with the movie. We just kept coming back to the movie because this is a big thing. This is what you've been talking about all month. Yeah. And this was going to be an opener question, but what initially drew you to going to Nashville and becoming a songwriter, and what's kept you there all this time?
Well, that's a big one. So, I think when I graduated from school, so I was a songwriter before I went to Nashville. But I think when I graduated from Berkeley in 2005, I thought, well, if you want to pursue music, there's kind of 3 hubs for that. There's New York, LA, or Nashville. Mm-hmm. And I had been to Nashville and I really liked the city. And I thought, okay, I'm going to move to Nashville. Of course, I like country music. So I thought, well, that's really where I want to go. And my goal moving to town was to become a better songwriter. And I can say definitively, after 20 years of being in Nashville, writing songs, writing with some hit songwriters, writing with people that I came up with in the industry, like Bill, I'm a better songwriter, and I've achieved that objective of becoming a better songwriter. And, I think, you stay because you love it. You celebrate the little successes along the way. And then hopefully you get to have moments like this where it's like, you just get to do something that kind of brings it all together. You get to share your story. You get to share music. You get to kind of shine a spotlight on Nashville and the Nashville songwriting community. That's a really special thing to be able to accomplish. And so, I think you stay because you love it. And I think at the end of the day, you have to love it enough to stay. Yeah. And I still love it. I still love creating, and I still love writing, and I still love songs. And so for me, it's not really a choice of, do I keep doing this or not? I think the choice is more, well, now how do I want to do this, right? Yeah. And I'm working on more scripts now, and maybe I'll start more of script writing than songwriting, or maybe I'll shift the way I'm doing it, We all are evolving, and I think it's okay to evolve in how you're pursuing your craft.
Yeah, as long as it's honest and it fulfills your creative spark.
Yeah, exactly.
Shantell, it's been a real honor to have known you all this time. You're sort of a nice window. You're very approachable, and yet you've accomplished quite a bit following your dreams out there, and you've kept authentic and you've kept true to yourself. And I think that's what gave you some lasting appeal out there. So we appreciate you, and we're honored to call you our friend.
And likewise, and I still have the card Mona made me.
Yeah, that's something in common with your mother making cards and things. So
I do, yeah.
We're real happy. We want to keep coming out to Tennessee. We love it. We didn't think that would be a place we'd return to, but we've been there twice now. Well, we want to come again. We just want to make sure we come when the weather's decent,
Yes, for sure. Well, take care, Dean. I appreciate it so much.
Shantell Ogden, Music City Mistletoe. You can all you got to do now is Google it. You'll find out what streaming platforms to get it and buy it and download it and all that jazz. So it's really a lot of fun. You're going to enjoy it, and we enjoy you. Shantell, God bless you, and have a Merry Christmas, okay?
Likewise. Thanks, Dean.
When November turns the page, makes you want to speed up the days so you can unwrap all of your gifts, checking them off wish by wish, from 8 to 80.